Major League Baseball welcomes you to the following presentation of the Minnesota Twins.
The Twins are hoping Mother Nature cooperates this time around as they look to rebound in Game 2 against the Cardinals. Twins baseball is brought to you by Progressive. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside Busch Stadium. I'm Audra Martin. There are a lot of reasons for optimism surrounding the Twins this season, and the return of Joe Ryan is certainly one of them. Today marks his first start since August 7th when a shoulder injury ended his season prematurely. But he's feeling great. He's ready to go, and his catchers know as good as anyone that a motivated and healthy Joe Ryan is a winning combination.
He's got such a personality, and I think that carries to this swagger that he has on the mound that goes a long way in how he pitches and how he plays the game. You know, he plays it loosey-goosey, which helps him just be free and just really go after the hitters.
Elite fastball, you know, that elevator that we call is very, very unique and is special kid. You know, I think if he stay healthy all year, he's gonna be awesome.
Coming up, we go one-on-one with Matt Borgschulte to get to know Minnesota's newest hitting coach a bit better. That's coming your way after this. Week is presented by PNC Bank as we welcome you back to Busch Stadium for Game 2 between the Twins and the Cardinals. We're joined now by Twins hitting coach Matt Borgschulte. And Matt, it is great to see you. Obviously, a lot of history with this organization, but beyond that, what excited you about the opportunity to come back here and make an impact?
Yeah, I mean, I think just knowing the organization and all the great people that are involved in everything that we do from ownership all the way down is, it's a very exciting time for me to come back to the organization and hopefully continue to have success.
Every hitting coach has a different plan of attack, a different philosophy. What is your approach to bringing out the best in your guys?
Yeah, I mean, we try to have an individual focus in terms of, what guys are trying to do at the plate. But we really want to have a team approach as well of how we're going to beat the pitcher that day. And that's going to change from day to day, and it's going to change a little bit from player to player. But, if we're all attacking the guy 1 through 9, trying to wear him down to get to that bullpen, I think we're going to have a lot of success.
Last year there was some issues with consistency, and then things got a little difficult there towards the end of this season. What do you think is going to be key with this group to making sure that the ups and downs are as minimal as possible?
Yeah, I think that focus on the team mentality of really trying to wear down that pitcher and doing everything we can within the situation, kind of knowing what's happening on the field and what we need to do to execute. And we're not just only relying on the home run or relying on that big extra base hit. We can do those little things to kind of scratch a couple runs across and really put pressure on the defense.
Matt, we appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Coming up, Corey Provis and Justin Morneau take a deeper look at the highly anticipated return of Joe Ryan. More from St. Louis next.
Minnesota Twins baseball is presented by Progressive Insurance, a grand slam for your budget. Visit progressive.com. And by Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealers today. Welcome back to St. Louis, closing in on Game 2 of the series and Game 2 of the season. Twins and the Cardinals coming up from Busch Stadium here in downtown St. Louis. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the booth alongside former Twins MVP Justin Morneau. I'm Corey Provis. Reflecting for a moment, Morty, on late last season. Yes, that August 18th date in Texas was a pivotal moment in the season when the Twins' season really went south. But a strong case can be made that 11 days earlier when Joe Ryan hurt his shoulder was rather significant as well.
Yeah, one of the strengths of this team last year was the starting pitching. You had elite starting pitching, you had depth, you had a lot of guys having career years. Joe Ryan was one of those guys, and you could make a case that he was maybe the most valuable. Unfortunately, it was only in about 4.5 months. His season ended early. He's looked healthy throughout spring training, but his ability to manipulate the baseball, his fastball has always been elite. but then he made a point of making his off-speed stuff that much better. So he's gone out there. He has confidence in these secondary pitches now. He can throw them in any count. He can use them to finish at-bats, and then he always knows that he has that weapon of that elite fastball in his back pocket.
Coming off a strong season, Ryan is healthy and ready to go here in 2025 as he takes the ball for the first time here in Game 2. Joe Ryan for the Twins. Eric Fetty goes for the Cardinals. Twins, Redbirds Game 2 is next on Twins TV. Minnesota Twins baseball is brought to you by Progressive. Welcome back to St. Louis. Some overcast skies. Tarpers on the field earlier today, but good to go. We will start right on time. Time now for our builders and remodelers weather report. You see cloudy skies, temperatures in the high 60s. It is humid. And the Twins have been in St. Louis here for a few days. On non-game days, we've had warm temperatures. We've had abundant sunshine. But on game days, we've had overcast skies. We have the delay on Thursday for about, an hour and 45 minutes or so. Neither team able to do anything on the field pregame today, but good news, as we will start right on time for Twins fans here in St. Louis. Why not be here, this great city?
And the best weather I can tell you to hit in is a cloudy day game.
Cloudy day game.
Exactly what you're looking for, that natural light without that glare of the sun. So hopefully that's a good sign for these Twins hitters from the start, especially at the top of the order. A little offer for the first few guys in the order, so see if they're able to come out here, jump on a pitcher they're familiar with early in what I would call good hitting conditions.
Now today marks the including postseason, not including the 1987 World Series, but this is the 41st regular season matchup. Twins and the Cardinals, each side has won 20 times. As Eric Fetty, Twins saw him often a year ago, mainly with the White Sox, as he will make his 2025 St. Louis debut. And Matt Wallner will once again lead the Twins lineup here today. And speaking of that lineup, it is brought to you by Menards. Wallner, Correa, Buxton, Larnach had a great game back on Thursday. Ty France, Mickey Gasper seeking his first big league hit. He'll DH. Willie Castro, Jose Miranda, and Christian Vasquez will catch Joe Ryan today. But first morning, we take a look at the Cardinals veteran starter.
Yeah, right-hander Eric Fetty. He's not going to overpower you with velocity, even though he does have plenty of value in that fastball. He's going to be cutter, changeup, sinker to the left-handed hitters, and to the right-handed hitters, it's sinker as the first pitch, and the sweeper's a close second, followed by that cutter. below average strikeout rate as far as the league goes, but he's looking for weak contact. He's looking for you to put the ball on the ground. He's looking to miss the barrel. He's not worried about racking up the strikeouts. He wants to pitch as deep into this game as he can by limiting the damage, having quick at-bats, and getting you to swing at his pitch. And look at the defense. The difference really in game one. Victor Scott, the second out in center field, took a big hit away from Ty France. It either probably would have tied the game and given the Twins a better chance to win. Unfortunately, that's not how it worked out. The Gold Glover, Nolan Arenado at third base as well. Finalist Mason Winn at short. They're running the same lineup out there that they had in game one. Why would you change it? They won, so they're going to keep going.
Victor Scott, the second, last year's 7th highest sprint speed in the game, covering about 30.5 feet per second. Matt Wallner swung to the first pitch on Thursday. Let's see what he does here in game 2 against the righty Eric Fetty. And Wallner takes inside, and with that underway, overcast afternoon here in Missouri. Wallner 0 for 4 with a walk on Thursday. And it's a 1-1 count. How pivotal is it, Morney, for this guy in particular to get off to a good start and not have a repeat of the first 13 games a year ago?
I think it's important for everyone to get off to a good start, but I think he's more well equipped to handle it this year. He went through it last year, and you start pressing a little bit, you start questioning your swing. Do I need to make changes? And then you realize the more time you have in the big leagues that you don't need to panic early. You just stay the course, trust the work that you put in the offseason, and know that eventually it's going to turn in your favor. And when it turned for him last year, he was as good as anybody in baseball. So I think, yes, for the mental side of it, you'd love to come out here, maybe have a walk in this at-bat, maybe mix in a hard hit ball and find a gap and kind of get your season rolling a little bit, but not as essential maybe as it was last year for him to get off to a good start.
And Wallner strikes out on a fastball at 92. Fetty, a year ago, the bulk of his strikeouts to lefties came either via his cutter or his changeup, and beat Wallner there.
Yeah, I think this one was a fastball up at the top of the zone that looked like it had a little late run to it, a little late fade, and he will occasionally throw that sinker to the left-handed hitters about 22% of the time last year.
And Carlos Correa went 3 for 3 against Fetty last year. This one to center, and Victor Scott the second. Makes the play, and quickly 2 down, 6 pitches in as we take a look at some numbers from Fetty a year ago. We'll talk about his journey as the game moves along today, but run value by pitch type, these are out-based numbers and outcomes, and his breaking ball was a weapon, as was his fastball, despite not having, big velocity.
Yeah, he's not overpowering you with velocity. He's relying on you putting his pitches where he puts them in play weekly. Just like that. If he's able to live on the corners, much like Sonny Gray did, he owned that outside corner in game number 1 to the right-handed hitters. A little different mix than Sonny has, but just goes to show you once again that location matters more than velocity. Velocity obviously is important. It allows you to make mistakes, but hitting your spots, being able to hit all parts of the strike zone, up, down, in, out, make that ball move.
And now 2 balls and a strike on Byron Buxton, batting third for the second straight game. Byron sitting on 29 home runs against National League pitching. It's the second most amongst any Twin in team history. Torrey Hunter with 33 leading the way. Fetty was tough on the Twins last year, faced the Twins 3 times and went 1-0 with an ERA just over 1. Twins collectively hit just 153 on Fetty head-to-head last year.
We have a couple of guys with success off him. Everyone's pretty limited in the amount of at-bats, but you got Ty France does have a home run, and Willie Castro has a home run off of him also, so they'll know that getting into the batter's box. They'll remember what that pitch felt like coming off their bat, so they'll have an idea when they get into the box of what they're looking for.
To short, and Mason Winn with Buxton hustling up the line, but the throw beat him. And a 1-2-3 first inning for Fetty. Well, this is a look at Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol, who said after Thursday's win that St. Louis played a very clean game. That was pretty accurate. In every way, the defense ran the bases well in that 5-3 win. The St. Louis batting order is brought to you by Ford. Lars Nootbaar was a tough out on Thursday. Bats leadoff Wilson Contreras, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado. And a home run on Thursday, Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera, Jordan Walker, and some speed at the bottom in Scott and Wynn. Lars Nootbaar with 5 career leadoff home runs. Pass leadoff for the second straight game and tracks 94 for strike 1 from Joe Ryan.
Yeah, Joe Ryan, a healthy Joe Ryan. Good to see him back out on the mound. Season ended prematurely last year, but he's got a tremendous fastball. That is his best pitch. It's a unique arm angle, throws it from a little lower arm slot. That ball surprises hitters, plus 14 on run value. 80 of his 147 strikeouts came on that fastball. That velocity was trending down before his injury. If he sits around 94, he'll be plenty effective with that pitch, and then everything else plays off of that. The hitters respect his fastball because it does something unique. It gets on him just a little bit. He generates swings and misses, a lot of fly ball outs with it. He's really done a good job of refining his off-speed stuff. That split change that he throws has been a very good pitch as well.
Keys to the game are brought to you by Toyota. Lars Nootbaar mentioned that he has some success over his career batting leadoff, but did not bat leadoff at all last year. Makes contact, doesn't chase too often, but really stay healthy. 5 IL stints for Nootbaar the last 2 years. And he'll start his day with a base hit to left. So Nootbaar now 3 for 5 to begin his season. And a leadoff single to start the Cardinals first. So Nootbaar is on as we take a look, Morning, at the Twins defensively here for Game 2.
Yeah, a little bit different look. Larnach left. He was the DH in Game 1, no Bader. You got Buxton out there again. Wallner, as good a throwing arm as there is in the big leagues. And then you've got Miranda Correa, Castro in France. France had a nice day at first base, picking some balls in the dirt. And then it'll be Vasquez behind the plate making his first start of the year.
And now it is Wilson Contreras, and Joe Ryan wanted that pitch and a little.
Might have been a tap of the hat there.
Yeah, something like that. A little sign to Brian Honora behind the plate. Looked like a good pitch, but the call went Contreras' way. Contreras no longer catching. He's going to be the St. Louis primary first baseman. As Ryan is inside now 2-0. You know, Ryan last year, if we break some of his splits down in terms of balls in play, Joe was able to produce his highest ground ball rate of his career. The sinker coming to play here. And there's on the ground to the right side, and Castro's only play will be to first to get Contreras as Nootbaar moves to second. So Ryan got in on Contreras. Twins do get an out, but Nootbaar now at second. StatCast 3D is powered by Google Cloud as we take a look at the arsenal from Joe Ryan a year ago.
Yeah, the four-seam elite, as I've said. The splitter has been a real difference maker for him. He'll throw that to right and left-handed hitters. The sweeper, also a very good pitch. The slider and the sinker. Sinker, something that was developing as the year went along. Just another pitch he was trying to add in to make the right-handed hitters a little less comfortable standing in that batter's box when you're conscious of a guy who can run the ball in on your hands. It's not something you like to feel as a hitter, so being able to get that ball to move, not just key on one fastball, but they have two.
Donovan to left and shallow, and Trevor Larnach, who DH'd on Thursday and left field today, makes the play. There are 2 down. And now Nolan Arenado. Nice home run off Griffin Jacks. Lifted the Cardinals to a 2-run lead. Career home run number 342 for the veteran. 10-time Gold Glove winning third baseman Nolan Arenado. 33 years old. And he spoke after the game on Thursday. This was Nootbaar against Pablo Lopez as he went down at a changeup. That was a key swing early against Pablo, but Arenado was pretty emotional postgame after his season got off to a strong start, because if you just followed the story all winter long, It seemed unlikely that he was going to be a Cardinal on opening day. St. Louis was very open with the fact they were trying to trade him, had a deal set with the Astros around Christmas, but Arenado, no trade clause, he vetoed that. Good pitch there, 1-2.
He earned that right through the contract he signed. Fans appeared to be appreciative of the fact that he was still here. He had a nice ovation walking up to the plate today as well. I think everyone always likes to decide what's best for someone else, and he decided the best thing for him was to stay in St. Louis.
And this is up the middle into center field. And Nootbaar will round and score. Boy, two-strike hitting that hurt the Twins on Thursday, and Arenado put it in play up the middle, and Nootbaar is in, 1-0 Cardinals.
Well, that sweeper was so good for him last year against right-handed hitters. This ball maybe a little higher than he liked, but was off the plate. He has that extension. He has the ability to go out there and get it. Such a big swing and miss. Almost 40% of the time right-handed hitters swung and missed at that pitch last year. So give credit to Arenado for reaching out there and hitting the right spot.
I haven't seen that swing and miss so far for Ryan here in this first inning against St. Louis, as Alec Burleson DHing for the Cardinals once again, 1 for 4 on Thursday. The 21 home runs last year, 17 came in the first half of the season. In some ways, there are some similarities with how the St. Louis roster matches up with the Twins. Cardinals have an abundance of left-handed hitting outfielders. And the 1-1 is in for strike 2. Nolan Gorman, haven't seen him yet. He bats left-handed. Michael Ciani, outfielder, he bats left-handed. This has popped up on the infield, and Carlos Correa makes the play. Inning over, but the Cardinals are run on 2 hits. Ryan upset early, 1-0 Redbirds. Nolan Arenado's bat speed during spring training did improve considerably from where it ended last year, and that has carried so far into the regular season. Drives in the first run today, and now Trevor Larnach will try and answer back here in the second. Now Larnach coming off a wonderful day on Thursday. Reached 3 times at 2 hits, a walk. He scored a run, riding a 5-game hitting streak dating back to late last year. That ties a career high. Let's take a look at Larnach's day back on Thursday morning.
Yeah, put together some good at-bats, saw a lot of pitches, and then was able to keep some at-bats alive that maybe in the past wouldn't have resulted in hits. So He's grown a lot over the last couple of years as a hitter. He understands what he does well, what the league is trying to do to him. I think that's also important when you step into that batter's box, to have a feeling of how this team is trying to get you out, how they're trying to attack you. And you try and match your strengths with what they're doing and have good days like he did in game 1.
And there's an 0-2 swing, and Larnach is out with the leadoff single. So down to the count, no problem. Larnach is the first Twin to reach today.
Almost identical to those highlights we were showing you. Going out there, getting it, a change up, down and away, and that's pretty much all you're going to do with that pitch. So that's really the difference between hitting 220 and hitting somewhere in the high 200s, is being able to get those hits like that when they're available.
Ty France, just one hit to show for it on Thursday, barreled up the ball multiple times. Has found the wrong man. Victor Scott II. Rob France of a couple of hits.
Yeah, if he continues to take at-bats like that, he continues to have that approach, it's going to be a great bounce back year for him, because you'd love to have the positive feedback of watching that ball fall in the gap, watching your teammates run around the bases and score, but in reality, the results aren't always there when you want them. But if you keep having that approach and that swing.
Larnach runs, and the throw to second base, and Larnach slides, and he's safe.
Yeah, we might have a look at this one.
Yeah, Donovan, the second baseman, covering Mason Wynn, the shortstop, indicated right away to challenge. So the timer is running. Teams have 15 seconds to elect to challenge or not, and St. Louis will. And the crew chief is Las Diaz. He'll come in at third base and announce the challenge. Trevor Larnach stole 4 bases last year. Now, with France's ability, Morty, to hit the ball the other way, did the Twins, did they have something on there? Larnach to run and France to try and hit behind Donovan and just tied in swing?
I think maybe just trying to take advantage of a catcher who struggled to throw out runners last year, trying to get a good jump, maybe the element of surprise. And for all of you at home asking why he didn't put his foot on the base, well, if he goes in with his foot, then he's closer, and he felt like the ball was going to beat him there. He was going to get tagged, so he was doing his best to evade it. And that's why he ended up reaching in with his hand instead of getting his foot into that base. But this was real close. Does he get his shoulder before he puts his hand on the base? So we'll get an answer here pretty quick. Original call was safe, so there has to be enough evidence to overturn it. But yeah, I think you're going a little bit on the element of surprise and the history of the catcher behind the plate and the struggles he had throwing out runners last year. And
you know, we had a chance to tour the replay center in Midtown Manhattan last year, and asking the folks that do this every day, my belief has been that the longer it takes to look at a play, the more likely it'll come back as stands. And I asked, is there any data to back that up? And they said, yes, probably. We don't have the number, but that's a fair assumption, that the longer that it takes to look at a play, there isn't that decisive angle that could change the call. But it looks like Las Diaz may have something coming here down the line. As we take a look, Larnach's left hand towards the bag, but you can't see where Donovan tags him there.
Maybe that's a good sign they don't have a look and he stays safe.
There we go.
After review, the call stands. The runner is safe. St. Louis loses his challenge.
All right, so the Cardinals lose their challenge. That's a big thing to remember here in the second inning. St. Louis cannot elect to challenge a reviewable play now until the 8th inning.
And for all of you that had, apologize, Kersey came in and stole a base late. I was going to say of Larnach having the first Twin stolen base, but that is the Twins' second stolen base of the year. But yeah, good sign. Maybe Twins are going to be a little more aggressive.
1-2 count to France outside. The Twins attempted 69 stolen bases last year, by far the fewest attempts of any team in baseball. Look, the base running numbers were ugly a year ago. And the Twins just generally had a pretty slow team. If you just look at the average sprint speed that the guys had last year. France to second. This will advance Larnach. So France grounds out, but Larnach to third. Now let's see if the Cardinals maybe bring the infield in with Mickey Gasper coming up, seeking his first big league hit. And today his 14th major league game.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a long run for him. You always want to get that hit out of the way as soon as possible, but Cardinals are going to play the infield back. Guy who's got great bat-to-ball skills.
And this is an old Tony La Russa move. They're back, and now they charge in. Gasper pops it up. And this will not play into shallow center. Away, and Swin with his back towards the plate made the catch for the out. Boy, it looked to be rather routine off the crack of the bat, but then when Wynn turned his back towards the plate, Victor Scott II, he wasn't there. He was either win or bust, so Wynn made the play, but Gasper cannot do enough with it to bring him in, so 2 down.
Yeah, playing the infield in, a little more challenging to go back on that ball. Yeah, this ball tailing a little bit. This is more than what he thought it was going to be, but see if his teammate can pick him up here with a big 2-out hit.
So Gasper now 0 for 19 in his major league career. Here's Willie Castro. Boost an RBI here on Thursday with a double. 1-1.
This is what we talked about with Fedde. Trying to get outs early in at-bats, trying to just miss the barrel. We saw it. Ty France down towards the end. We saw Mickey Gasper there. Got crowded a little bit, popped it up. It's just what he does. He lives around the edges. Late movement, trusts his defense. The journey he's been on, he's figured out exactly who he is as a pitcher, what he does well, and just go out there. When you get to that point, your job is just to execute pitch after pitch.
Line to right field, Willie Castro, base hit towards the corner. Larnach is in. Castro no helmet. He's got 2. He will stop there. Game tying RBI double Willie Castro. It's a 1-1 game.
Those big 2-out hits, those are the ones that really pick up everybody on the bench, and that'll make Mickey Gasper feel a lot better as well. Runner on third, less than 2 outs, failed to get him in. Well, that's why it's a team game, and your teammate goes up there, gets himself a pitch middle in, doesn't try and do too much, just gets the barrel to it. The only question was it going to be 2 bases or 3?
Now Castro, both of his RBI so far have come with 2 outs, both run-scoring doubles, and it's a 1-1 game, and now Jose Miranda, who did so well against right-handed pitching last year, hit .313, slugged .500 against righties. Seeing a righty in Fedde today. This one in the air to shallow left field. Coming on is Nootbaar. He'll dive, and Nootbaar made the play. The Cardinals defense was a big storyline on Thursday. It saved runs then, saved a run now. So Miranda thought he found some empty grass in left, but Lars Nootbaar diving forward, saves a run. Game is tied early in St. Louis.
Thanks to an RBI double from Willie Castro, it's a tie ball game here in St. Louis. Reflecting on last August's shoulder injury, Joe Ryan says it was simply a slap in the face. He still has a hard time making sense of it because of how great he felt physically leading into that game. He said he was able, though, to stay positive through the offseason, drawing a ton of confidence from watching Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the Dodgers, knowing that he had a similar injury and he was still able to come back during the season and have such success with them in the regular season and the postseason. And he also made it a point to talk to other players who have dealt with a similar injury. And he said all of that together allowed him to have a pretty mellow spring training. He was waiting for a big burst of adrenaline or having to keep his emotions in check, but he said it never really came. It was just business as usual, which he takes as a great sign, guys, because he said it felt like he really never missed any time.
Audra, thanks. And Ryan picks up his first strikeout of 2025 as Ivan Herrera is out number 1. It was a grade 2 teres major strain that ended Ryan's season last year. And as we talked about at the top, it was 95. The velocity at times in camp was down, but not there. And Ryan was fantastic last year and a key part for the Twins here in 2025, and now hit Jordan Walker, and he's not happy. Walker, 22 years old, 6'6", 250. And Walker will take his base, shaking out his right hand.
That got him good. It almost sounded like the bat. This ball just running. We saw it on the previous pitch. Right on the inside of the right hand.
Ryan wondering if he swung.
Yeah, Brian O'Nora did check down there with Mike Estabrook, but after 3 times of asking, he said no, he did not swing. That got him about as square as you can get.
Ryan hit 5 batters last year. That's just the 13th batter he's hit over his career. So Walker examined by the Cardinal medical team, and keep an eye on that.
Yeah, for a guy who's looking to get off to a good start, last thing you want to be dealing with is an injury to your hands. One of the most important parts of hitting.
There's Victor Scott, the second. Down to strike. Won the job in center in camp, beat out the incumbent Michael Ciani. And Scott just hit better than Ciani did. 0 for 4 on Thursday. And now it's 0-2. Plenty of homegrown talent up and down this Cardinal roster. Walker, he was a first-round pick in 2020. Scott, fifth-round pick in 2022. Mason went on deck, second-round pick in 2020. Ryan's strikeout pitch to lefties. The bulk of them came with his four-seam fastball, but the splitter, as we just saw, also a weapon against lefties. Check on Walker, and he's back in safety. This is Ryan's second start against the Cardinals. He faced St. Louis here in 2023. Did not go well. Allowed 4 home runs, 7 runs a couple of years ago. And gets the call there. So Christian Vasquez framed that well. Strikeout number 2 for Ryan. Out number 2 here in the Cardinals' second.
Well, this ball started on the plate. Good late movement. That's that changeup. He went right back to it. Threw that one a little bit closer to the zone. Got the call.
So 2 down now for Mason Wynn, who was a Gold Glove finalist a year ago. Talented defensive shortstop. Hit 15 home runs last year. Oh, 0-2.
Yeah, they have some youth in the bottom part of this lineup, and something they stated in the offseason they were going to do was a little bit younger, go through a little bit of a retool. They didn't go as far as calling it a rebuild. Still hoping to be able to win ball games.
So Joe Ryan, after not inducing a single swing and miss in the first, strikes out 3 in the second. All tied at 1 as we start the third inning. It'll be hitters 9, 1, and 2. Christian Vasquez, his first plate appearance of 2025. Ryan Jeffers caught the opener as Fetty took that call off the corner for strike 1 on Vasquez.
Yeah, he knows as well as anyone what he saw last half inning. Twins were beneficiaries of a couple of pitches that may have been off the outside corner just a little bit, so you're not going to complain about that as a catcher.
Vasquez a year ago, a career high in terms of how often he swung, highest swing rate of his career, but also produced the highest fly ball rate of his career. Chops this one to the right side, and Brendan Donovan throws out the Twins catcher. And there is out number 1. Now become a My Twins member for free with a starter membership. My Twins members get rewarded for their fandom by earning points for experiences, merchandise, concession credits, and so much more. Enroll for free right now at twins.com/mytwins. Wallner knocked down by Fetty. He'll pick it up and throws it away as Contreras goes down. Wallner, he's on a knee. So Wallner is safe, and now Contreras concerned for the St. Louis first baseman. Concern for Matt Wallner. Contreras and Wallner, there's a good sign there. Both on their feet, both seem to be okay. So Wallner is on. He said, I'm good, reading his lips. But Morty, you've had that play countless times, so break that one down.
Yeah, you wonder if inexperience on this play of the first baseman Contreras, after a hard hit ball right off the foot, Fetty does a good job of identifying, picking it up with a bare hand, and then throwing that ball into the runner. This is always a tough play when you know it's going to be close. You see how he's got the right foot on the base. We talked about this with Ty France, and you know, as a right-handed throwing first baseman, sometimes you put the left foot on the base. So you go and you set up and you give that pitcher a little different angle. it allows you to release the base. When you stretch with that left foot, when that ball's in front of the mound, you set yourself up. You don't really have anywhere to go. That ball starts tailing. You end up putting your arm into that runner, and that happens a lot of times. So you kind of have to give yourself somewhere to go, and I think maybe that was a left foot on the base play instead of a traditional way that you normally do it as a first baseman.
Fetty charged with an error as Wallner is on. And Contreras, too, he fractured his arm last year catching. Took a bat to the arm. He missed a chunk of time with that. Also a fractured finger. For the time being, his catching days are over. He's going to be the St. Louis primary first baseman. Sharply hit left side. Diving stop, win. Second one, relay in time. And the Cardinal defense is on fire. Correa's hit the ball hard a couple of times in this series. It was Donovan that robbed him on Thursday. Now Wynn does the same here in Game 2. Another well-struck ball by Correa, but Mason Wynn, mentioned a Gold Glove finalist last year with a dive and a 6-4-3 ending double play as the Twins third rather quickly. Now Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober, they certainly have a very unique relationship when it comes to talking pitching. And there's more in today's Twins Insider.
He's one of the more unique pitchers, I think, in the entire league, just with how he throws and all the deception that he has off his fastball. And the last couple seasons, he's made some great improvements on his off-speed pitches. And when he was healthy last year, I think you could see how good he could be. We both enjoy playing catch with each other because we kind of see how each other are moving and try to mimic a little bit how relaxed and loose the arm swing is. With both of our movements. And I think whenever we get to play catch with each other, we can kind of see, oh, that looked really good. Maybe I'll try that. It's just something that we could feed off each other, have a lot of conversations with.
It's amazing how the relationship is with player to player. I think everyone, obviously the coach is important, the staff, everyone who can help you in certain ways, but to be out there with a peer, with someone who knows exactly what you're feeling at that moment and knows what you're trying to work on, knows what you're trying to get the ball to do, that feedback from one pitcher to another, one hitter to another, I think it's just a different level. And I think when you have that trust, you have someone you can rely on, and then it can carry over to conversations during the game in the dugout. It's not just the pitching coach, not just Pete Mackey. It's not just relying on someone else. You can go up to Bailey Ober, hey, you seen anything here? You can go up to Pablo because these guys watch each other in the bullpen, but specifically with those two, you build that relationship, and you never know where it can help you, but it will help you at some point.
St. Louis batting here in the home third. Top of the order, Lars Nootbaar. Strike one. Bar 1 for 1. Singleton scored back in the first. Now 3 for 5 to start his season with 3 runs scored. And it's only 2. Joe Ryan, too, wanting to get back to your point. Just watching this guy evolve, because his fastball was his go-to pitch. It still is. But watching him work at splitters and breaking balls, and we've seen firsthand the evolution of Joe Ryan and why this guy is a blossoming all-star.
And I think it's his desire to keep getting better. Every day he goes out there, he has a purpose he's trying to work on.
2, and that hit Nootbaar on a breaking ball. Got him down low, so second time that the Cardinals have had a better reach via hit by pitch. It was Walker, albeit more painfully last inning, and now Nootbaar is on base. There's an 0-2 pitch that Ryan would like to have back.
Yeah, he was trying to make sure he got that sweeper below the zone. He buried it, and talk a lot of times about a back foot breaking ball. Almost hit him in the back foot here. But he was making sure he wasn't leaving that over the plate.
Wilson Contreras with a big cut.
But I think, yeah, you have to respect the fact that Joe Ryan wants to go out there and keep getting better. Could have survived on his fastball for a while. Could have been, an average to above average starter with that. But, he wants to be great, and his desire to be great has fueled him. And to go out there, and I think the ability to slow everything down in the bullpen, the ability to go frame by frame with certain pitches and pitch grips, and the ball is doing this. If I alter my hand on the ball in just a small way, how can I make the ball move in the way that I want it to move? It's incredible where pitching is at now, as opposed to in the past it being, here's what I feel, here's what I see the ball is doing, and you get feedback from the catcher and from the pitching coach and the bullpen coach. That was kind of how you had to develop pitches, and now you just have so much more technology to assist you. And okay, this guy, I like the movement of his pitch. How is he doing it?
This one slicing foul. Matt Wallner racing over. Wallner will slide. Just can't get there.
And I think baseball's always been a copycat game. I'd learned my swing from my dad, but also from imitating my favorite players in the backyard. And it's kind of what you're seeing now with the aid of technology. So-and-so's got a great changeup. What does his ball do? Where is his hand on that ball when he throws it? And you have the ability to look at great pitches and great pitchers across the game and then use that to your advantage. And I think that's something that is essential to developing good pitching in the game of baseball today.
Wilson Contreras a year ago, high strikeout rate, but also a high walk rate. League average walk rate 8%. Contreras at 13. Brandon Donovan on deck. Second time through this lineup for Ryan. See if Nootbaar is on the move. Stole 7 bases last year.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't. We'll see.
He stays, and the 3-2 swing and a miss. Perfectly placed fastball, Morty, in at 93.
Yeah, maybe that's why you don't send the runner. He's a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy who lives with that fastball up top of the zone, so that's a good pitch for a catcher to throw on. And with one out, maybe not running into a double play. Or strike him out, throw him out, double play.
Another look at the Joe Ryan experience as we bring it back. We did that quite often, right? Remember all the facial expressions we'd see on Joe Ryan starts?
The old Karate Kid Crane, the one he threw
how
up
about
there.
that one? That's a good call.
It's entertaining.
Brandon Donovan flied out his first time. It's a 1-1 strike count. The left-handed batting Cardinals second baseman. He can play all over. On a Gold Glove as utility player in 2022. That was during his rookie season. And pass Castro into right, and Nootbaar will stop at second base. Donovan led St. Louis in hits last year. This is his third hit in this series, and the Cardinals have 2 on.
I really wanted to see Nootbaar try and go first to third there. I wanted to see Wallner show off that arm. I'm sure somewhere between first and second base he remembered who the right fielder was, and that's not the guy you want to test. Average arm strength out there for Wallner. Impressive. He does a lot of things well. And throwing wise, he was 5th in all of baseball with arm strength, so that's why you don't go first or third on that play.
As Ryan misses high on Arenado. Average nearly 97 miles an hour. Neil Cruz, former shortstop, now playing center field for the Pirates.
You combine that with the fact that he hits the ball nearly as hard as Judge and Stanton Ohtani. You see why so many people are picking him as maybe being a breakout candidate for the Twins. Also one of the reasons why you're comfortable letting Max Kepler sign somewhere else, which ended up being Philadelphia, and Waller's going to be in right.
2-1. I mentioned Aaron Judge, by the way. Judge 3 home runs today. And the Yankees lead Milwaukee 16-4. That game is only in the 5th inning. Here it's a 1-1 game, bottom third. Cardinals batting, threatening. And Arenado into push-up position. That one didn't hit him.
Almost looked like it might have clipped Jersey, but
St. Louis can't challenge.
That's right. Well, Joe Ryan a little. That's that two-seam fastball that seems like maybe it's running a little more than he's expecting today.
Ryan made 4 spring training starts. Behind 3-1. There was a period back around early March where Ryan just kind of had a reset. His spring throwing program was delayed for a few days just to try and get his timing right. Don't want to force anything coming back from his shoulder injury. That occurred earlier in camp.
Yeah, he said the ball didn't feel right coming out of his hand, and he did not want that to lead to injury. He didn't want to be forcing anything, as you said, so he backed off a little bit. And nothing to worry about at this point now.
This is Sky to shallow right, and Wallner. Runners hold, 2 down. So Ryan there inducing weak contact. Here comes Alec Burleson.
Well, this goes back to Matt Wallner's arm strength in right. Had you gone first to third there, you have a runner on third, less than 2 outs, a fly ball to the outfield. Maybe that leads to a run, but because you have a guy with an elite arm playing right field, it's station-to-station baseball on a ball that was hit somewhat towards the gap that some other guys out there, maybe you try and go first to third, but so not all the plays that show up in the box score have an impact on how the other team scores runs.
Careful first pitch as Burleson swings. Often first pitch he does here, but room for Buxton. And the Cardinals strand 2 as Burleson flies out to center. Get free MLB.TV with T-Mobile. Redeem today at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Danny? No, he's working today. Yeah, Glad's in the radio booth. That is not him. Sorry. Just had a quick pivot there for a moment.
That was the first thing that popped into my head, too.
Right? Huh.
Good thing he's a few booths down.
Yeah, and that was Morneau that said that. Danny Morneau. 1-1 on to the 4th. Eric Fetty, now 32 years old, and quite the story. He was a first-round pick by Washington in 2014. Pitched for the Nationals for parts of 6 years, and then was non-tendered after the 2022 season. He dealt with some shoulder discomfort, and he went to a pitching lab in Arizona. Velocity was okay, but he struggled to find a good changeup, and he just wasn't able to generate much in terms of swing and miss. So good friend Shelby Miller worked on a sweeper grip as he was thinking about 2023. And there were some offers out there, but nothing too enticing, so Fetty left the States and instead pitched for the NC Dinos in Korea and was incredible pitching in Korea. In fact, he won just about every possible pitching award that you can in that league. It opened up eyes, it opened up opportunity for Fetty to come back, and there was some interest in 2024 from a few teams. In the end, Fetty chose the White Sox over the Padres, the Mets, and he liked being with Chicago and that rebuilding team, a centerpiece in that rotation. As Buxton chased there, and he is out number 1, now 0 for 2 today, and Fetty just pitched so well. Not much went right for Chicago. We know that a year ago, but this guy's performance did, and it was only a matter of time at the trade deadline. Where was he going? The Twins had interest. Never worked out a deal, but Fetty stayed in the Central but left the AL Central and now is with the Cardinals.
And what's considered a very team-friendly contract as well for the price of starting pitching these days. And Cardinals made that move. And I'm sure Fetty obviously appreciative of the opportunity, and then you get to come pitch in a great baseball town like this. It'll be interesting to see if he's on the move as well, if he's throwing as well as he did for Chicago in those 21 starts.
He's born in Las Vegas. He played youth ball with Bryce Harper as a kid. 1-1 on Larnach, and now 1-2. Among the better stories I read about Fetty while pitching in Korea. So he's in the Korean League All-Star game, and his teammates knew that it was unlikely he was going to come back and stay on that same team the next year, so they played a prank on him, where it looked like they took his passport and lit it on fire, saying, "Hey, you're not going anywhere. You're too good. You're too important to our team." Playing a joke, of course, but he was beloved by his teammates, understandably so with the season that he had. But now, getting a chance, reinventing himself, trying something new to keep the dream alive, to be in the big leagues. Good take there from Larnach. Singleton scored back in the second. Larnach 3 for 4 to start his season. Back-to-back games. Larnach batting 4th for the Twins lineup.
And seeing a lot of pitches, tracking the baseball very well. Some guys on base in front of him.
Taps this one. Fetty will leave the mound, and Donovan goes glove to glove. 2 down. Mark your calendars for the home opener at Target Field coming up on Thursday, April 3rd. Always fun to be back at the ballpark in downtown Minneapolis. We invite you to be one of the first 10,000 fans at One Twins Way to receive a Twins beanie courtesy of your local Northland Ford dealers. Your seat is waiting. Your spot can be had right now. Twins.com/tickets. .94 to Ty France for strike 1. And that'll get foul. France grounded out to second, his first at bat, and we saw him drive the ball in spring training and even on Thursday the other way. And that was a part of an approach last year, is in terms of balls in play that went the other way. He was at 30%, major league average about 25.
I think a guy who has always prided himself on using the entire field and being a guy that can go gap to gap, a guy that's a tough out. And there's not one area you can go to pitch to him, and I think he kind of got away from his strengths a little bit last year while he was chasing a little bit more power.
This one tapped back towards Fetty. And Contreras will get there, and the play is made. Second 1-2-3 inning for Eric Fetty. Cardinals coming up here in the 4th inning in a 1-1 game. And Joe Ryan, 4 strikeouts so far. He's hit 2 batters, no walks. He's allowed 1 run on 3 hits. So far, 48 pitches in.
Looks like a typical Joe Ryan start. A lot of strikes, a lot of first pitch strikes, attacking the zone.
Strike 1 to Herrera. Ryan, excluding that injury-shortened start against the Cubs in August, he averaged close to 6 innings per start. And you say, wow, is that a big deal? And today's game, yeah, because the average starter goes about, let's say, 5 2/3 innings. I'd say about 5 1/3, 5 2/3 innings as opposed to 18 outs. I would say the average last year closer to 17.
Yeah, which is every out you get from your starter is one less out you have to get from your bullpen. The more you can keep those guys fresh as the year goes on, the more effective they're going to be as well.
2-2 on Herrera.
And it really is such a fine balance of how long do you leave them out there? You're trying to steal outs. You see the stuff starting to decline. You know, it's a combination of, is the stuff declining and what are my eyes telling me?
Went off speed, and what a good 2-2 pitch that was. Second time that Ryan has struck out Herrera. 5th strikeout for Ryan.
Yeah, this one on the split. Second of his 5 strikeouts that have been on that split finger fastball, and that was nasty. That's, I think, you know, so many different changes in pitching and how pitchers approach hitters, but that right on right change, especially with the ability to run the ball in on you. See a little look right there, another one in off the plate, Walker. That one not as close as the one that hit him, but the guy comes right back in there. You don't really like that. But I think there's the movement. So guys, you know, right on right, the sinker is becoming a pitch that a lot of pitchers are using now, and you play that split or change up off of it, it looks almost identical. The movement's very similar, but then there's a difference in speed. And I think it's just so hard. It was something that was anti, you know, you never threw right on right change unless you had a really good one. Now it's almost something that most right-handed pitchers feel like they need to be able to have as another weapon to these right-handed hitters, as opposed to letting them lean over. Everything's breaking, everything that's slow is moving away. So if you're looking fastball, you're looking maybe in one part of the zone, and if it's going to be anything slow, you just lean it out over the plate thinking the opposite gap. Well, that changeup is a way to neutralize that and give the hitter something else to think about.
To the right side and through. And Walker's out for the second time as he picks up a 4th inning single. Cardinals batting in a 1-1 game. And Victor Scott II coming up, but first this message from builders and remodelers.
Anniversary savings of 73% off installation labor on all roofing, siding, windows, and doors.
Another count where Ryan was ahead 1-2, but Walker put it in play. And now Scott II, he struck out looking his first time. Scott hit below 180 last year. It's a 1-1 count. Justin was talking earlier about this Cardinals team in 2025, hitting the reset button a little bit, focusing on player development. And you can make a case that at times the last 10 years that the Cardinals have been impatient in terms of homegrown players, and now they got Walker in a rundown throw to second. Correa the catch, and got him.
What a play.
And the Cardinals can't challenge. So Correa jumping up, grabbing that errant throw, and was able to catch and tag out Walker. And even if Walker claims he was safe. The Cardinals lost their challenge earlier, and we play on 2 down.
This is amazing. We saw them do this 2 times the other day, just take off early, and we were wondering if they had something on Pablo, and not necessarily the thought is look at the athleticism from Correa. Got him right on the helmet, maybe clipped his thumb a little bit as he put that tag down, but twice in game 1 that happened. One time it was called a balk, and that's somewhat been disputed by the Twins coaching staff whether it actually was a balk or not. And the second one, an error was made on that play. We weren't sure if it was some way that Pablo was setting up, but it seems like more it's just of a timing thing. You know, with the pitch clock, with pitchers having to throw the ball at a certain point, a lot of guys sort of fall into a rhythm, whether it's 1,000, 2, 1,000, and then they go home, or they pitch on a certain number on that clock. It looks like that's something the Cardinals are aware of and trying to take advantage of. We've seen it 3 times through 2 games now, and it's something that I don't remember seeing all that often last year. So Cardinals trying to be a little more aggressive, maybe try to take advantage of their speed a little bit more, of their youth, and nice job by Joe Ryan and especially Correa at the end of that play to make that tag.
Full count to Victor Scott II. Correa using that entire big frame. Catch that throw from Ty France for the second out. Now the payoff to Scott, and we'll do it again. But getting back to the Cardinals in the last 10 years, I mean, think of these names that were St. Louis outfielders at one point that are no longer here. From Randy Rosarena, Adolis Garcia, Tyler O'Neill, Lane Thomas. Where they always felt, yeah, we got something better coming up through the pipeline, but it hasn't panned out. This is a Wiggly to first, and Will go foul.
Or we need to win today, and we don't have time to let this guy grow at the big league level. We don't have time to let him go through some struggles. We're going to see if we can get an immediate return for someone who can help us today. And I think sometimes that impatience, I think part of playing in front of this fan base where the expectations are win. This team has won the 2nd most World Series behind the New York Yankees. And it's a tradition of a lot of winning ball clubs, and that expectation is here every year in St. Louis. What if that played into it as well?
11 World Series championships in franchise history. 37 Hall of Fame players, 17 of which inducted as Cardinals. The Yankees lead the way with 27. St. Louis invested heavily, and really for the first time, Katie Wu covers the Cardinals for The Athletic. Had a great story on Wednesday about how St. Louis, for the first time, invested heavily in terms of development, scouting, coordinators, in a way that wasn't done in the past.
I thought it was interesting to hear about the collaboration as well, having some of their current coaches in the meetings and some of the hiring that they were doing, the people they were bringing in to help develop players in the minor league system as well, to try and get everybody on the same page, so that, you know, we hear it a lot of guys get up to the big leagues and they're not ready to play, or they're not ready to play our style, and I think it's important to have that continuity between the minor leagues and the big leagues as well. So I think they've made a conscious effort of going out and bringing in people from outside the organization with some fresh ideas, but not losing a lot of the experienced people they had as well. So they're trying to blend the two of, this is what we've done in the past, and here's what we'd like to do in the future, and how do we get that message to the players and get the most out of every player in our system.
Victor Scott II earned that. A 10-pitch at bat. Some speed on for St. Louis with 2 down.
Yeah, I think it's never an easy spot to be either, because there were a lot of longtime Cardinals employees and people that worked behind the scenes that were let go as well. So it's a tough thing to come into an organization and make changes, because you're disrupting a lot of things, and there's a lot of relationships there, a lot of people who are loyal to the team that ended up getting let go as well. I think that can be a challenge when you're trying to get better. There's some tough decisions that need to be made, and it sounds like they made a lot of tough decisions, and it'll take a little while to see how much that is all going to pay off.
Scott has a big lead. Win at the plate, he takes off, and the pitch is a strike, and no throw from Vasquez.
Great lead, great jump, and that was Vasquez. Even though he's a veteran, he rushed that just a little bit. A pretty good pitch to throw on. Just lost the handle on the exchange. Big lead, good jump. There it is right there. Speed will lead to forcing defensive players to make some mistakes or doing things that we're not used to seeing them doing.
And now into scoring position. It's a 1-1 strike count. I mentioned earlier that a year ago, Scott, one of the faster players in the game, sprint speed, 7th best. He's at second, more speed at the plate right now, and Mason Wynn. Ooh, good pitch. Did not get the call, and a little shrug there from Ryan. Smirk towards the scoreboard, 2-1.
Never shy of letting the home plate umpire know when he feels like he missed one. A good argument here, according to our strike zone.
We learned today, by the way, that if a player, and we saw the ABS system in spring training, that if a player taps his helmet, the umpire can eject that player from the game.
Yes, something we raised on the broadcast a couple of days ago. Who will be the first to do it? Well, the first to do it will be the first one to get ejected for it.
2-2 has popped up behind the plate, and that will find the fans. Well, these last two hitters, Scott and Wynn, lengthy at bats. Pitch count now at 72 for Joe. This one hung, but will stay in the ballpark. Trevor Larnach makes the play to end the inning. Couple of singles, but no runs. We're tied after 4. Second at bat for Mickey Gasper. Popped out in the second. 0 for 19 now in his major league career. The switch hitting Twin on his first opening day roster. This will be the moment now for that first big league knock for Mickey. He's 29 years old, drafted by the Yankees in 2018. 27th round pick. With the Red Sox last year, the bulk of the season, AA, AAA. And ended that year with more walks than strikeouts. 56 walks to 42 strikeouts in the minors last year. And Mickey's at the plate, and he has some important people in the stands right now. His mom Levia, dad Mick, fiance Leanne, in a white hat.
So hopefully the next reaction we see is them celebrating his first big league hit. You know, everybody on the bench knows, everybody in the dugout, you know, everybody's aware of what he's going for. Everybody's pulling for him. He's an easy guy to root for.
He's wearing number 11, and the Twins did not have a player wear that number last year. That was Jorge Polanco's number for a long time. Base percentage at .440 the minors last year, and got a piece of that, and we'll do it again.
This is what he can do. He refuses to strike out. He'll put together some at-bats, keep an at-bat alive, make you throw the ball over the plate. This is part of what the Twins like about his skill set, the fact that he brings something just a little bit different.
His natural side, Morty, is his left-handed swing. And it won't happen now. This one lofted to right, and Jordan Walker makes the play for out number 1. He started switch hitting when he was 8 years old. He does everything right-handed, everything except swing a baseball. He'll golf right-handed, throws right-handed, everything but swing a baseball bat. Willie Castro tied the game with an RBI double in the second.
You know, his first half was so good. It's going to be interesting to see what adjustments he's going to make as he cooled off towards the end of that season.
It's hard hit, but right at the belt buckle of Donovan. And there are 2 down. The Twins playing their second game of the season today, but yesterday the St. Paul Saints began their 2025 season, and great to see Emmanuel Rodriguez healthy. Had a great debut, 3 for 4, a double, drove in 2. David Festa, 5 scoreless innings, and the Saints clobbered Indianapolis 11-0. The Saints opener yesterday in St. Paul.
And that kid is a top 100 prospect, and he's got a chance. And you see that ball that he hit the ball the other way, but driving the ball to the opposite gap. He's got a rare combination of elite plate discipline with some power as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to stay healthy if we see him up here at some point in the first half of this season. He's going to have to obviously play his way here. An opportunity may have to open up for him, but he's got a chance to be a special player.
Coming off thumb surgery. Rolled his ankle in spring training. That's why we did not see him in any spring training games on the big league side, or the breakout game for that matter. This one pulled to left and is hooking foul and will land out of play. Now Rodriguez was in center yesterday. He's DHing today. Austin Martin played left yesterday. He's in center today. And that's just something to keep an eye on with Austin Martin. If he'll play all 3 outfield spots, does he even get some reps at second base?
Keishel, he got some stuff there, some prospects there.
Roll to the right side, diving play made by Contreras, and the inning is over. Wilson Contreras, he knew all along to prep for first base into 2025. Diving play to his left, robs Miranda. The new streaming home of Twins baseball is finally here. Introducing Twins TV. Stream Twins games throughout Twins territory live for the entire 25 regular season. Subscribe today at twins.tv and receive 50% off tickets to all April and May home games. Third time through now for Joe Ryan. Lars Nootbaar has been on twice, as Joe Ryan now, Morty, will take a look at this Cardinal lineup. Third time, and a strength for Joe last year, no issue. And looking at the numbers, first plate appearance, second, and then how he fared that third time he saw a lineup, as he'll start in that situation right now. But take a look at this last year. He almost was statistically got better in terms of OPS third time he faced the lineup.
Yeah, your other starting pitchers, you look at why that is. I think the fact that he's got multiple pitches, that he can throw for strikes, that he can finish at bats with, I think that's a development that's really helped him. But he also never seems like he is out of control. He never feels like he's max effort on every pitch. He throws hard, but it doesn't feel like he loses command based on how hard he throws.
Willie Castro sliding, backhand pick to his feet. Good play. Yeah, Willie was a Gold Glove finalist for that same utility award. Mentioned that Donovan won that a couple of years ago. Willie put his name in the final group for that same honor last year.
Yeah, Twins trying to maybe get a little revenge on these Cardinals for how well they've played defense so far.
So one down for Contreras. Called strike. Ryan allowed 19 home runs last year. 13 of those came the first time he faced a lineup in a given game. So getting back to how he was able to figure out, all right, what's working today, what's not, as he navigated into his starts deeper and deeper. You got to look, okay, this pitch may not be playing well that first time. Let's try something else. Miranda. 2 down.
I think his mindset plays into it as well. I think his mentality, he never seems like he gets flustered out there. We see some emotions, but it never seems like he's out of control. He'll react to certain pitches. He'll give you what he's thinking, you know, whether he runs one in on a hitter or little feedback, but it never seems like he's too high or too low. He's just kind of out there. And he's the same in the first inning as he is if he's pitching in the sixth. But I think it's also a development that's happened throughout his career.
Donovan, this one to center, sending Buxton back. Byron to the track, to the wall, jumps up and makes the play. He caught it, secured that body, and Joe Ryan loves the effort. Byron Buxton due up fourth in the sixth. No panic from number 25 in center. Measuring, catching. What a light collision, no problem. Buxton makes the play. Good D by the Twins here in the fifth.
Welcome back to Twins TV, and look at this right here. The wind blowing in from center field probably knocked that ball down just enough to keep it in the ballpark and give Buxton a chance to go back and jump up and catch it up against the wall.
That was 103.5 off the bat. Brendan Donovan, that's a good look there. Wind helping out, but that guy helps as well. Christian Vasquez 0 for 1. Eric Fetty, he's been efficient today. He's only at 64 pitches now as he starts the 6th. Vasquez unable to hold back. It's 1-2. Twins incredibly fortunate the last 2 years. How often Christian Vasquez and Ryan Jeffers were able to be behind the plate. That tandem has been thankfully healthy. Vasquez, he was pretty candid early in camp. Understands his offense needs to improve here in 2025, final year of his contract. He's one ball away from his 200th career walk. Something he did not do too often last year, only a 4% walk rate. This one smacked to right, but Walker is there. One down. Let's go back to the Buxton catch. Again, Morning a moment ago.
Yeah, we mentioned the wind. I thought this ball was gone off the bat. It looked like Buck was thinking about having to bring this thing back. You see how he was timing his steps. And Joe Ryan. Pitchers always love to see that. Hit it to the right guy, but I think with no wind, that ball maybe ends up in the second or third row. So not only how you hit him, it's when and where you hit him. And fortunately for the Twins, this is still a tie ball game.
Seeing those reactions, it reminds me of a story that former Twins pitcher Tyler Duffy once told me. And Duffy played with Byron at every level in the minor leagues and eventually the big leagues. So he saw this on a routine basis, and it got to the point where he wasn't trying to show anybody up, but he didn't react too often because it became the norm to see Byron just make diving, leaping catches. 1-2 on Wallner. Seeking his first hit of the season. 0 for 2 today. Did reach on a Fetty fielding error in the third. This one sliced to left center field. Victor Scott the second. This time to his right.
A little better contact from Wallner there. Maybe down towards the end of the bat just a little bit. But as we saw in game one, a lot of balls are falling in that from left center field all the way over to right center field with how much ground Victor Scott covers out there.
Carlos Correa hit the ball hard. Mason Wynn, though, with a diving stop at short. And the Cardinals turn 2. Correa got under this. To left, and Lars Nootbaar puts it away. And that is 10 in a row retired by Fetty. Minnesota Twins baseball is presented by PNC Bank. Opening week presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Stan the Man outside beautiful Busch Stadium. Downtown St. Louis. Hall of Famer. Hall of Famers all over this great city and ballpark. Jeff Buck, Twins fans remember that name, voice well from the World Series runs. Joe Ryan's day is over, gives way to Jorge Alcala as this marks his season debut facing Arenado here in the 6th.
A big year for Alcala to stay healthy, so he can go out there and put together a full season. Always liked his arm. Lives in the upper 90s with that fastball. He's going to face Arenado, who's seen him 2 times before, does have a hit.
Good off speed there, it's 0-2. One of many power arms in Rocco Baldelli's bullpen. Alcala did not throw on Thursday, nor did Joan Duran. And look out, this one kicks off Alcala, bounces to short. Correa can't make the play, and now the ball's into left field. And with that, Arenado's going to make second base. And nobody's covering third, and thankfully Castro and Alcala, along with Vasquez, are there to cover, but now concern on Alcala as head athletic trainer Nick Paparesta is out to check on the Twins pitcher.
Well, the comebacker from Walner got Fetty earlier in this ball game. This one not in a good spot, up on that right shoulder, and Correa, knowing Arenado's speed going down the line, tried to make a barehanded play, but this ball had a ton of spin after it hit Alcala. Right in the back of that right shoulder.
It's 0-2. Wincing there immediately, understandably so. It is a double for Arenado.
Not a terrible pitch. I mean, that ball looked like it was about 4 or 5 baseballs above the top of the zone.
Alcala, so far so good. Thumbs up to Nick and Rocco. His bullpen is quiet right now. Nobody throwing.
He's got some adrenaline going. I'm sure it's not going to hurt as much as it will later. Maybe we'll start to tighten up on him. But Alcala occasionally is a multi-inning guy. But the goal here is to get through 1 inning and see if it affects how he's attacking the strike zone at all. I think it's got to be a little unnerving when you get a ball hit back at you that hard. 95 miles an hour off the bat.
Again, careful first pitch to Alec Burleson. Very high first pitch swing percentage last year with 21 home runs as Alcala misses high at 89. Burleson is 0 for 2, 1 for 6 to start his season. No swing. Burleson, a former second-round pick, DHing for the 2nd straight game. Arenado, go ahead, run at second, nobody out. Did walk roughly 3 batters per 9 last season. And this dude might have the green light here with his swing. And 4 in a row miss. So a double off the body of Alcala. Now a 4-pitch walk. Here comes Ivan Herrera. Well, make it a Grand Slam outing. Group tickets are available at Target Field. Spend a day at the ballpark, receive no ticket fees, and access special discounts for groups of 20 or more. Visit twins.com/groups for more information. Pete Mackey, pitching coach, out for a visit as the Twins huddle up.
Yeah, a visit maybe for as much as getting somebody going, maybe Cole Sands down there in the bullpen. Slow him down, get him back in the zone. A 3-0 changeup right there. Kind of gave you the impression that once they fell behind in the count, they didn't want to give in with that base open over there. It'll be interesting to see how the Cardinals play this. I assume they're going to let him swing away, being that he's a strong offensive player. But you never know.
That's his strength. I mean, his bat plays.
You never know, though, with their bullpen. The thought maybe is see if we can find a way, to get a lead and then turn it over to some of those elite arms down there.
He has 1 sack bunt in his big league career. And maybe thinking big there. I like that. Try to expand a little bit and see if Herrera would help out, and that he did. Yeah. After 4 in a row that missed.
Yeah, maybe not the best approach. A younger hitter up there being a little over aggressive on a guy who didn't look like he was very close to the strike zone on any of those pitches previous at bat.
France Miranda a bit in at the corners, and this is chopped foul. You saw the run expectancy, first and second, nobody out. Team averages nearly a run and a half in the inning.
Well, you've got now 3 chances to see if you can get him to expand the way he did on that first pitch. Start something that maybe appears to be a strike for a little bit. Let's see if you can get him to swing over the top of that same changeup he did the first pitch of the at-bat.
Snag and save there by Vasquez.
That was a really, really difficult play. Catchers will tell you sometimes the fastballs are the most difficult ones to block, and especially when he was trying to go at the top of the zone where that pitch completely missed. Vasquez was able to get a glove down on it.
Reliever must face a minimum 3 batters before a change can be made. This is the 3rd batter for Alcala. And this is up the middle and into center field, and the Cardinals will take the lead. Arenado is in to second. Burleson and Herrera. Struck out his first 2 times, puts his team on top here in the 6th, 2-1 St. Louis.
It seems like it's been a collective approach from these Cardinals these first 2 games of staying through the big part of the field. A lot of 2-strike hits. Not all of them have been hit overly hard. They've just been hit in the right place. But if you have consistency in the approach, that can lead to more consistency in the results.
Sands and Varland. Sands has halted his throwing program, and Rocco Baldelli will make a change here. Louis Varland still throwing. Alcala began with 2 strikes on Nolan Arenado, then took a line drive off of his shoulder, a walk and a single. Still nobody out. Twins down 1. take a look at our upcoming schedule, brought to you by Progressive. Twins and the Cardinals wrap up this opening series at 1 o'clock tomorrow. First pitch at 1:15. Then it's off to Chicago. White Sox for 3, home on Thursday for the home opener against the Astros. Quick stop at home. Kansas City for 4. Starting on the 7th. 2-1 St. Louis, and Louis Varland is out for the second time this season.
Yeah, should be a little less nerves, adrenaline, whatever you want to call it. This time the bullpen door open, having pitched in game 1. Being asked to get out of a mess here.
Jordan Walker did see Varland on Thursday, and Walker grounded out to third but made good contact. He's been on twice today, hit by a pitch in the second, single to right in the fourth.
It seems like the Twins are making a conscious effort of getting the ball in on him, which then sets up that. Joe Ryan hit him with that fastball earlier. Immediately, first pitch, the next at bat, he came up there. He threw another one in just barely off the plate, but a tall guy likes to get his arms extended, trying to crowd him a little bit. And maybe execute that pitch like Louis did on the second one. Becomes very difficult as a hitter. Now they've got options. They can run another one in off the plate. They can go a little further off with that cutter, see if they can get him to chase. Take a shot above the zone with that plus velocity that Louis has, working out of the bullpen.
Walker, big power, big strikeout numbers as well. Walker's been the opening day roster last couple of years, but twice he's been demoted in April because of slow starts in both 2023 and 2024. Burleson at second, Herrera's at first. One in, still nobody out. Ty France to give it a look. Over and no play. Again, the 1-2 from Varland. Another nice stop by Vasquez.
If you can find a way to get that pitch just a little bit closer to the strike zone, I think you can get him to chase on it. Let's see if we'll go back to it again.
Varland was ahead, now behind. Twins need an out. Ball. Second one. And bases are loaded. For Victor Scott the second.
Yeah, Twins will bring the infield in here. Obviously a tough guy to double up with his speed. A hard hit ball on the ground, I wouldn't be surprised to see at this stage of the game. Fielders come home.
Nearly 3 runs. Run expectancy, bases loaded, nobody out. One in. Oh, and 2. Varland had 2 strikes on Walker. Morty could not put him away. As Vasquez just letting his teammates know where they need to go. Oh, and 2 on the Cardinals center fielder.
This is something Glenn Perkins was talking about now in his move to the bullpen with that elite fastball velocity. What is he going to find as his secondary pitch to end at bats? What is he going to find that's going to be able to generate some swing and miss when he needs it, especially in a situation like this? We talked about it with Joe Ryan and his start, his development of the secondary stuff.
It's 99, but he fought it off. Remember that Scott singled his last at bat. It was a 10-pitch at bat he had against Joe Ryan, the longest at bat the Cardinal had against Joe today. Bases are loaded. Again, the 1-2. Tried off speed, but Scott made the adjustment. Burleson, he walked, now at third. Herrera, RBI single, put the Cardinals on top. And then Walker walked a moment ago, and there's a swing and miss as Varland needed that, and Scott strikes out in a big first out here in the 6th inning.
Well, this one here, a changeup at 91. Really good movement down on that pitch. You see the grip, you see him turn it over, and you see that fade down and away from that left-handed hitter. Work's not done yet, though.
Infield stays in. Now Mason Wynn, who's 0 for 2. Twins have Buxton, Larnach, and France due up in the 7th. Hitters 3, 4, and 5. That's a well-located fastball, Morty. 98 in and elevated.
He has the ability to overpower you. He has enough velocity. And the difference is really the secondary stuff. If you're only keying on the fastball, you can get to it.
Strike 2. Varland, he was informed not long after 2024 ended, hey, prep for a bullpen role. And that he did with his throwing program in the winter. He struck him out. There's 99. And now Varland needs one more. So back-to-back strikeouts, but here comes a challenging hitter and Lars Nootbaar. But first, look at this location.
Just reach back and let it fly. Right on the outside corner. Not sure if that's where he was trying to go with it, but that does not matter because he ended the at-bat. You're right. Got to find a way to finish it off. It's interesting. You were talking about Nootbaar and not chasing. You know, last year he had one of the lowest rates of any hitter in the big leagues, not going outside the zone. And then in game 1 of this series, he was aggressive. He chased more than he did last year. Here we're seeing him go up there swinging early in at-bats, maybe altering his approach just a little bit.
Line to center field, a base hit. Burleson scores. Herrera coming home. The throw is cut off. It's 4-1 Cardinals as Nootbaar strikes again. It's a 3-run Cardinals lead here in the 6th.
Now Louis, a tough task of coming in and trying to get out of that mess. Looked like he was that close, but Nootbaar, first 2 games in the series, has been swinging the bat very well.
Nootbaar, 2 more hits today. He has knocked in 4 runs so far in this series. And the Cardinals, some key 2-out hitting in this series, some key 2-strike hitting in this series. And more of the same here in this 6th inning. 0-2 now on Contreras. And 3 runs, all charged to Jorge Alcala, who did not retire a hitter. And Contreras strikes out, inning over. But Damage done. The Cardinals bat 8 and add 3 runs. Lars Nootbaar, a tough out on Thursday, more of the same today. It's 4-1 St. Louis after 6. Byron Buxton bounces to third, and Nolan Arenado made that look routine. It was anything but that. With Buxton running hard up the line, 6-time Platinum Glove winner made the play. We saw a look at our PNC Bank slow-mo moments, and now we take a look at Ryan Fernandez.
Yeah, the right-hander coming in, slider before the four-seam. Four-seam averages about 95 miles an hour. Also a cutter, occasional sinker. That's his bread and butter right there. The first pitch he threw to Larnach. That
Fernandez, a former Rule 5 pick from the Red Sox. 62 games, 66 and 2/3 innings. Larnach is 1 for 2 with a run. And now it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Larnach. Eric Fetty was tough on the Twins last year and more of the same here today. He went 6 innings, only 1 run, 2 hits allowed by Fetty. And the Cardinals had a good bullpen last year.
was able to keep the pitch count in control. Twins never made him throw more than 15 pitches in an inning. Been there. Don't miss that.
Danny Coulomb after warming up. As Herrera given some time. Let's see if Larnach can get on here. Larnach singled in the second and scored. It's now a career-high 6-game hitting streak for Larnach dating back to late last year. to left and shallow and room for Nootbaar. On the track, and there are 2 down. Let's take a look at our Coors Light beating the pressure and Lars Nootbaar in this series, moving to the leadoff spot so far in 2025, and so far, so good. He's knocked in 4 runs so far. The Cardinals have scored 9. Nootbaar making an impact right away. Ty France is 0 for 2. That Yankees-Brewers game, by the way, is now 20-7. Giants over the Packers. France slams this one to right, but Jordan Walker backpedaling makes the play. And that's the inning. A 1-2-3 7th we stretch in St. Louis. Thanks to the All-American Rejects. Some new material. Danny Coulomb back with the Twins here in 2025. He's on the mound. Signed a 1-year deal with the Twins on February 7th. Last couple of years with the Orioles. Missed a good chunk of 2024 with elbow surgery. Lefty-lefty matchup to Brandon Donovan and a strike.
Yeah, cool. He's not going to overpower you, but he relies on movement. He's got a unique arm slot, unique delivery. He's got some deception in that.
Weak contact and strikeouts, but also ground balls. That's what Danny Coulomb brings to this team with that arsenal.
You're never really sure what you're going up there looking for. The ability to change speeds, change locations, change shapes. Just being able to move that ball around. He's going to be a valuable part of that bullpen down there, being that he's the only lefty for now.
And Cody Funderburk beginning his season at AAA. Well hit to center, but Buxton positioned well. And Donovan is out number 1. Now Donovan found Buxton there, also found him Morney back in the 5th.
Yeah, the wind took 9 feet off this ball, and Buxton was going back on it. Looked like he was going to have to rob it, and for what would have been a home run, the wind kept it in the ballpark, and Buck was able to run it down to the appreciation of Joe Ryan.
Well, the cutter will come into play here against the right-handed batting Nolan Arenado. 79. This is inside. That cutter was the key pitch for Danny Coulomb in 2023 as he thrived with the Orioles with an outstanding bullpen. In 61 games in the 2023 season with the Orioles. Remember, Coulomb was in camp with the Twins and then found his way on Baltimore's roster just before the season began a couple of years ago.
An upward mobility clause, meaning if he had an opportunity to pitch for another team at the big league level, it didn't look like he was going to break camp with the Twins, so he exercised that option and then had a tremendous year.
That's what makes our buddy Tim Laudner so special, is upward mobility. When I think of upward mobility, Timmy Lauds.
I think of a buttery smooth 8-iron. That's what I think of. And of course, a World Series champ.
Yep. 2-2. Coulomb, born in St. Louis. Burleson on deck. Arenado 2 for 3 today. And there's ball 4. Walks so far have hurt the Twins here. Saw that play a part in the 3-run 6th as Alcala and Varland combined to walk a couple of hitters. That led to damage, and now Arenado is on. They'll set up a lefty-lefty matchup with Burleson. Reaching and pops this one up, and Miranda will take charge. 2 down. Ivan Herrera with the Cardinals on top with an RBI single off Jorge Alcala in the 6th inning. He has knocked in 2 runs so far this season. The other Cardinal catcher is Pedro Pajes. His defense is ahead of his offense. Herrera the opposite right now.
And we did see that late switch defensively in game 1. So I wonder if this is the at-bat he takes and then they make the switch again.
Good point. Give Herrera a chance against the lefty. His base hit last inning, extending his hitting streak now to 10, dating back to late last season. To third, pass to diving Miranda. Larnach trying to play this off the sidewall. Arenado is going to be held on a double from Herrera.
It's a tough read for the third base coach with a 33-year-old Nolan Arenado running around the bases. He had to take a peek down there in the corner to see if Larnach was able to cut this ball off, to see if it was going to get caught up, but that wall juts out pretty far. It was a good look here. Miranda with the good effort, just unable to get there. And as this ball gets down there in the corner, sometimes he gets stuck underneath the padding. Sometimes that outfielder misplays it. And see third base coach getting in there, trying to give himself a look. And Larnach played it well.
Ron Pop Warner. Third for the Cardinals. And now here is Jordan Walker. And this is a key moment right now. Twins have any chance to come back in these late innings against a good Cardinal pen. Can ill afford for St. Louis to add any more right now.
Yeah, they attempted to come back from 4-0 in game 1 of the series. They fought their way back, but they had a little bit more time to work with. You're right. This is essential at bat right here.
Walker slams this one to left center. Larnach drifting. He'll have room and make the play And the Cardinals make some noise but leave 2 more. The Twins only 1 run, 2 hits. No hits since the second. Needs to change in the 8th. Mickey Gasper on his first opening day roster. His Twins debut happening here today. He's 0 for 2 and seeking his first big league hit. Let's see if he can do that against the new Cardinal pitcher. It's lefty JoJo Romero.
Yeah, it'll be sinker, slider, changeup, 4-seam fastball. Fastball anywhere from 94 to 96.
Towards the hole at short, backhanded by Wynn, long throw to first base, and he is safe. And for now, there is Mickey Gasper's first big league hit.
I'm sure it was worth the wait. I'm sure it felt like it took him about 3 minutes to get down that first baseline as well. Cardinals defense has been tremendous in this series. Mickey's able to get himself an infield hit. They'll get that ball into the dugout.
Very cool for Mickey Gasper. Hopefully that will start a rally here in the 8th inning. There's his dad, Mick. A little tear there. Mom, Levia, and his fiancee with the white hat on the right side of your screen. That is Leanne. I said for now because now that we're in the 8th inning, the Cardinals can challenge any reviewable play. They lost their challenge early in the game, but that's a moot point now that we're in the 8th. Let's see if that gets the Twins going. Just the 3rd Twins hit, the first since Willie Castro's game-tying RBI double way back in the 2nd. And Willie's at the plate right now. And that'll get fouled.
It never gets old watching a guy get his first big league hit, his first big league homer, especially with parents in the stands. It's a dream that's shared by many, not just the guy out there performing on the field, but an entire family and sometimes an entire city. What a great moment.
1-2 on Castro. Asking Mickey in camp about his hitting approach. Hitting left-handed, he thinks more left center. But right-handed, more pull. And that one was in the hole at short. And Mason Wynn made it close, but Gasper safe and has his first big league knock. See if Castro can find his way out here, bring the tying run up. Jose Miranda's on deck. To right, pushing Scott near the warning track. He'll make the catch. Victor Scott II was in center, now playing right with Michael Ciani taking over center. And Willie lines out as we go back to Gasper.
Just telling yourself, go, 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 go.
There they are, mom and dad and his fiance. And now Miranda. His family reacting. Mickey was like, all right, let's move on. Let's win a ball game. Jose Miranda was robbed of an RBI in the second. As Newt Barr made a sliding catch coming in from left field. Jose's also bounced out. He's 1 for 6 to start his season. The short win will flip to second, and they do get the lead man. As Gasper is out. And Miranda's safe on the fielder's choice. As Gasper.
Like he's done it a million times before.
So 2 down, and now Christian Vasquez.
Ryan O'Norris had a few generous calls off the outside corner for both teams in this game. Changes the course of an at-bat, starting 0-1 as compared to starting 1-0.
Line to left, this one down the line in the corner, and that one hooking and going foul. Miranda's at first, 2 down. And this is popped up to shallow center, and Michael Ciani makes the play to end the inning. Now Mickey Gasper. A moment he'll never forget. 29 years old. Picks up his first big league hit. The Twins are still down 3. It's an opening weekend showdown. Twins are back at Target Field to take on the Astros April 3rd, 5th, and 6th. We hope you rise up for the home opener, Kids Opening Day, and so much more during that first series from downtown Minneapolis. Lock in your seats right now at twins.com/tickets. Twins down 3, but a chance to get Joan Duran Morney on the mound for the first time here today in 2025.
Yeah, you don't want too many guys sitting around too long waiting for that first appearance. Duran coming in. Not too often we see him pitching with a 3-run deficit, but he's going to come out here and looking to see if he can find some of that velocity that he lost. I know it was still amongst the hardest in baseball. Good sign there, 101. And then being able to combine that with that curveball, if he's able to tighten that up a little bit, that was one of the goals he had.
Splitter at 97.
Yeah, a little something with a little change of pace. He's trying to get that curveball to not pop up out of his hand as much. Kind of tunnel it with the other pitches, make it look like it's coming out of the similar spot.
Scott 1-for-3 today. Shows bunt. It'll be Durant. 12 pounds lighter. Gloves in with a fastball to first. Gets Scott, who wants his team to challenge.
Wow, he got down the line quick.
So Marmol holding up play. Scott thought he was safe, and Marmol says to challenge and take a look.
And Ty France is waiting to get the feeling back in his hand. Because Durant threw this about 103 over there.
Cardinals are turning the out call at first base.
Yeah, I think this one might be coming back.
Yeah, he's safe. That's the right challenge. That foot just got there before France.
And the challenge here, you see Ty France left foot on the base, which is how you need to do it. Anticipate a bad throw, but you see the opposite of how Contreras did it earlier in the game.
Morty, let me ask you this. So you see France.
The distance is just too short.
Yeah, he's not stretching
After
for that
replay,
ball.
the call no return, the runner's safe.
So it's a bunt single, right? You know, watching France on the replay there, he's not stretching out to try to minimize that distance, right?
And that's one of the biggest drawbacks of not having a left-handed throwing first baseman. That right foot stretches. When you're that close to the pitcher, you don't have that much time. You're anticipating a bad throw there more than you are thinking about getting out and making sure you stretch on that play.
Miranda playing in. Scott not long for first as Mason Wynn takes off. Runner goes. Pitch a strike. Throw to second. And Scott has his second stolen base here today. So it was a strike on Wynn. Victor Scott the second. That's part of his game. He's been on twice and now 2 stolen bases.
Yeah, I think this is something that he's looking to improve on, to steal more bases, to make that speed, equal the fact that he's going to run a lot more. We've seen it from the Cardinals these first 2 games, a couple of times taken off early, also just those straight steals.
So that sprint speed, if you're wondering who was the fastest last year, Bobby Witt Jr. Showing bunt, pulling it back. Yeah, Witt clocked in at around 30.5 feet per second. Byron Buxton, top 20, was at 29.7. Miranda in, as is France at the corners. Showing bunt, a stab, and it's foul. You can imagine bunting off Duran, even if you're in a sacrifice situation, is easy to do.
Yeah, I thankfully was never asked to bunt and never asked to bunt off a guy throwing 101. Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to do, to feel comfortable to get out over the plate.
Scott has a big lead at second. Stays. Here's the 1-2, and the breaking ball is high. You mentioned that the goal for Duran this winter, try and tunnel that curveball. Naton and Helsley and the Cardinal bullpen. This hitter's able to recognize that hump off than a year ago. Durant is 12 pounds lighter than where he was last season. Intermittent fasting was a part of Durant's offseason program. Did not eat anything until around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. His win spoiled 101. Durant told me he first hit 90 miles an hour, age 14 turning 15. He believes the first time he hit 100, he was 18 turning 19. Full count to win. Scott at second. This tie ball 4. So 2 on, nobody out. Twins bullpen is quiet. For now, 12 pitches in for Durant and nobody out. And here comes Lars Nootbaar. Nootbaar 2 for 3. A 2-run single and a run. Long hold. Now the 1-0. Ball 2. Boy, command. It's really been a problem for the Twins bullpen this afternoon. Alcala, Garland, Coulomb, and now Durant.
Yeah, not something we're typically used to seeing as Vasquez goes out. Oh, let's go back to the play from game 1 a couple of days ago in this series. Little bunt, back to the pitcher, Pablo Lopez. And this is why it's hard to get out there and stretch. You have to anticipate a bad throw. If you get out there too soon, that ball ends up down the right field line. So he's in a very similar position, and this ball was thrown out over there about 100 from right in front of the mound. You just don't have enough time to stretch, and that's why, you know, having the glove on the other hand, having the feet in a little different position allows you to stretch and maybe cut the distance there. Maybe that's the difference between being out and safe. But the way I was taught to play first base and the way I think it's supposed to be done, he did it exactly how you're supposed to do it. It's just the fact that he's a right-handed thrower, he plays first, and you just kind of sometimes have to give up something.
2-2.
And occasionally you will put the right foot on, you know, a speed guy going down the line on a bunt. Occasionally you'll flip the feet and try and stretch, but very rarely will you do that with a reliever on the mound. You never know what those guys are going to do coming into the game. How often do they actually have to make that play? With a starter, it's a little different. With a guy out there you trust, a guy you know is going to hit you in the chest every time he picks up that ball, you're not really ever sure what the reliever's going to do when they come off that mound.
It was 2-0, now 2-2 on Nootbaar. There's ball 3. I recall Vic Power, late Twins first baseman, right-handed hitter, right-handed thrower, but he was a wrong-footed first baseman for the Twins. That was how he fielded his position while playing with the Twins in the 60s, and Durant walks his second straight hitter, and the Cardinals load him up, and there's still nobody out.
Well, game 1, game 100, it's always interesting what you're going to get out of closers when they come into a game where they're down, maybe don't have the same level of adrenaline. And Durant doesn't look like how we're used to seeing him. And that got up Topa down in the bullpen, brought Pete Mackey out to the mound.
It's 5 walks now for the Cardinals. All 5 have come against the Twins' pen. which was right around middle of the pack last year in walk rate. 18th overall, the Twins pen was in walk rate. Wilson Contreras 0 for 4 today, 0 for 8 to start his season. Infield is in.
They're just seeing it out of his hand, but these splitters that he's throwing down, they're seeing him as balls right away. They're not flinching. They're not look like they're geared up for the 101. That's a really good take so far. That one closer to the zone. Obviously perfectly located. You're not going to hit that ball. You're not going to do much with it if you do. The hitters recognize that right out of the hand. You see non-competitive pitches.
It's back-to-back splitters, and now the 1-1, 1-2, as Contreras expanded there. Joan Duran at 21 pitches. This could be his final batter regardless. Brandon Donovan on deck. Kicks away from Vasquez. So 4 pitches, Morty, all splitters. Haven't seen the curveball or four-seamer this at bat to the Cardinal first baseman.
I think the goal of either swing and miss, or if he puts it in play, it's going to be on the ground and they're going to be able to get a double play. They go back to it.
Tap to third and foul. That was a curveball. Which is and was a strikeout pitch for Durant.
I'm guessing this is the last batter he's going to face, but we will see. See if he can end it in a strikeout here.
And he does with a breaking ball. So Contreras strikes out for the 3rd time today, and sure enough, here comes Rocco Baldelli. And Duran's season, or I should say season debut will end here. Retiring 4 hitters, facing 4 hitters, retiring 1, and he will leave with 3 on, 1 out. And Justin Topa is coming in. So Duran and Rocco, a quick chat of the mound. Cardinals still batting, up 3. Well, Joan Durant was hoping that his first chance to pitch this season would be in a save situation. Did not happen. And last year there was quite a difference in Durant, Morty, when he was asked to pitch in save situations compared to the situation even today.
Yeah, it's amazing how those guys who are used to that high adrenaline, high pressure environment, you bring them in, trying to just get them to be part of the season. You know, your game 2 of a series in July, you're probably not bringing them in that situation, but you left spring a while ago. You want to get him back out on that mound, and hopefully Topa can come in and clean it up. He was asked to clean up for Griffin Jacks in game 1 of this series. Now he's coming in, hopefully clean it up for Durant.
A third of an inning on Thursday for Topa, who missed nearly the entire 2024 season due to a knee injury. He was slowed in camp this year with a shoulder injury. Go foul, and it's 1-2. Joe Ryan will take a no decision. He went 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits. He struck out 5, no walks. Eric Fetty, the starter, the pitcher of record for St. Louis. Two and 2 on Brendan Donovan. He's 1 for 4 today. Former 7th round pick. To left center, Buxton drifting, and Byron runs it down, tagging from third, scoring is Victor Scott the second, and the Cardinals add a 5th run. It's 5-1. One tag, all tag. Scott scored, went to third, to second, Nootbaar. As Donovan picks up his 2nd RBI this season.
That ball just kept drifting out there, but he went up there with a plan. My job is to get that runner in from third base, and he did just that.
And now Arenado, who's been on 3 more times today. Cardinals have veterans at the corners, and Arenado 33, Contreras 32. Wins at third, Nootbaar at second. 0-2 on Arenado. Oh, and a little delay there from Mike Esterbrook, but he rings up Arenado. And he strikes out to end the inning, but the Cardinals add a run. 9th inning. It's now a 5-1 St. Louis lead.
Welcome back to Twins TV. Twins trailing the Cardinals 5-1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
Hope you stick around for Twins postgame coming up with Audra Martin. We'll be here to recap the game, and Audra will anchor our postgame coverage. Our best to hear from Rocco Baldelli and or Joe Ryan. All coming up on the postgame show is Maton, as Morney mentioned, is into work. The only free agent signing the Cardinals made all offseason. And it's Maton as Pedro Pajes comes in to catch. And Matt Wallner is down a strike.
Well, big difference in this series. The top part of the batting order, and then on top of it, the defense that St. Louis has played.
This is punched to shallow left. 3 Cardinals converge, and it's win. It's now 0 for 22, I believe, right? So far this season, Wallner, Correa, and Buxton 0 for 22.
Yeah, Correa maybe having the least amount of luck on all those guys. Both the double plays he's hit into, balls that he's hit hard. Just a found fielder's gloves.
He's made great contact. They've been on the ground, and the Cardinals have played great defense. That's been obvious in this series. Really, St. Louis cleaner baseball.
Yeah, the balk that was called and then the error, both leading to runs in game 1.
Cardinals haven't walked a Twin today as Correa to left center, deep in the gap. Racing back goes Sirianni. Sirianni adds to the highlight reel. That's Michael Ciani, excuse me, not Sirianni. Ciani made that play, and Correa again with a good swing, but the Cardinals have a response in the defensive end.
And if you're the Twins, you just have to keep telling yourself, just keep hitting it hard. Eventually these balls will start finding some outfield grass, and much like the home run earlier, we highlighted the wind, knocked it down. The wind played a little bit of a part in that one as well, keeping it in the ballpark or keeping it off the wall.
Ciani beat out by Victor Scott II for the starting job in center. Because Scott hit, Ciani did not, but makes a great play as Buxton has a cut, and it's 0-2. Bailey Ober and Andre Polente. And the series finale tomorrow. It'll start at 1 o'clock here on Twins TV. First pitch at 1:15. Cardinals make it 2 straight. 5-1 the final score. Twins offense, not much so far this young season, and the Cardinals clutch hitting, great defense. Part of the early storylines here in 2025 as the Cardinals win 5-1.
Well, tough start for the Twins, but they've been outplayed. See if they can turn it around tomorrow.
We'll take a break, come back. Audra Martin standing by. Twins postgame in a moment.
Another tough one for the Twins this afternoon in St. Louis. The Cardinals with 5 runs on 10 hits in back-to-back games to start the season. Well, Minnesota held to just a lone run this afternoon. They'll have to wait another day for their first win of the season with the 5-1 final this afternoon in St. Louis. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Busch Stadium. I'm Audra Martin. Tough to see the offense go a bit quiet here in this young season for Minnesota, but regardless of the outcome this afternoon, there was some excitement heading into this game simply because Joe Ryan was making his return to the mound. The 28-year-old was back to work for the first time since August 7th when the shoulder injury, kept his season and cut it short last go-around for Minnesota. But he did his job here this afternoon, certainly keeping the Minnesota Twins in a very good position to win this ball game. So for more on his return, we go back up to the booth to Corey and Justin.
Audra, thanks. Yeah, Joe Ryan took a no decision in his first start here in 2025, and there were moments in camp when, his velocity was down, but a strong step number 1 for Ryan today. 5 innings, gave up 1 run, struck out 5.
Yeah, he did what he's asked to do. He gave his team a chance to win the game. I think he checked all the boxes, at least I'm sure mentally for him, of where he was at physically in spring training. Now he was just coming out here trying to make pitches, and we saw the fastball velocity sat right around 94 miles an hour. The split was good. He had a lot of positives in this start, a lot of things to build off of. Maybe the pitch count running up just a little higher than he would have liked. Maybe would have liked to have pitched into the 6th inning, but first start of the year, back on the mound, did everything you wanted him to do. The Twins offense just couldn't do enough to support him.
Now, speaking of offense for St. Louis, they made a change at the top of their lineup. In fact, there were moments in spring training when Victor Scott II, he got a look at leadoff, as did Mason Wynn. But here in the regular season, it's been Lars Nootbaar. He's healthy and so far off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, he's been a pain in the Twins side for these first 2 games because he has swung the bat very well. And he's going up there. He has plenty of talent, and it's a matter of him staying on the field and being able to put it all together. And he's gone up there, got 2 strike hits in this series. He's been able to put the ball in play, work a walk in today's game, and provides a lot of excitement at the top of the order. You hear every time he goes up there, the fans are excited to watch him hit. And this Cardinal team has had a very consistent approach through the middle part of the field, finding holes, not hitting every ball on the barrel, but hitting them in the right spot. So a lot of uncertainty heading into this year for the Cardinals, but they're off to a 2-0 start, and everything is right on that side of the field.
St. Louis, some clutch hitting. Great defense has been a part of this series so far, so St. Louis has taken the first 2. But Audra, we wrap it up with a day game here tomorrow, and Big Bailey Ober on the mound in the series finale at about 1:15 Central.
Yeah, going to be exciting to see Bailey Ober out on the mound, and the Twins will certainly be excited to be done with Lars Nootbaar when things wrap up tomorrow afternoon. Fans, don't go anywhere. We have more coming your way from Busch Stadium. We'll head into the clubhouse to get those post-game reactions from Rocco Baldelli. That's next. Welcome back to our Twins post-game show here in St. Louis. Story of the day this afternoon. Some good contact once again for Minnesota, but not able to get much going, thanks in part to some stellar defense from the St. Louis Cardinals. And the bats clicking once again for the home team. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things played out this afternoon. It was the Cardinals again striking first in the bottom of the first. A 1-2 count for Nolan Arenado, and he's able to line one out to center field, scoring Lars Nootbaar. And the Cards take the early 1-0 lead. But into the top of the second we go, and the Twins answer with Trevor Larnach getting things going and continuing his hit streak up to 6 games now, going back to the end of last season. And then for Trevor Larnach, it's time to show off the wheels. That's right, Trevor Larnach with 4 steals last year already has 1 on the season so far. And now we turn to Willie Castro, last year's MVP, pulling one down the right field line. Trevor Larnach able to score easily, so we have ourselves a tie ball game. Now it would stay a tie ball game until the bottom of the 6th inning. Jorge Alcala on the mound for Minnesota, and Ivan Herrera grounding one out to center field. Nolan Arenado scoring from second, and the Cardinals take the 2-1 lead. Still in the 6th, Louis Varland now on to pitch for Minnesota. The bases loaded, 2 outs, and there's Lars Nootbaar with a single to center, plating a pair of Cardinals for the 4-1 lead. They tack on another here for the 5-1 final in Game 2. Taking a look at your final stats, unfortunately just 1 run on 3 hits for Minnesota. Good news though, one of those hits was the first of the career for Mickey Gasper. Double-digit hits in back-to-back games here now for the St. Louis Cardinals. But a good debut for Joe Ryan, the 1 run on 5 hits, 5 strikeouts through 5 innings of work, and a 68% when it comes to his strikes thrown here this afternoon. Time now to head into the clubhouse and hear how Rocco Baldelli would sum up Game 2 against the Cards.
Joe pitched pretty well today. I did like what I saw from Joe. I think everyone did. Pete was happy. He pounded the zone. He didn't walk anybody, right? He was in there the whole day, throwing strikes. The stuff was good. Towards the end of the outing, I think he was a little gassed, but he found a way to kind of work through it, battle through it, and gave us a really nice outing. I mean, we're right in the game. When he comes out of the game, we're right there. We held him down pretty good, and Joe was the biggest part of that. I can't. I just walked in off the field, so it's hard for me to say. I haven't talked to the trainers about it. He got hit. The video didn't quite match up with what he was saying to us on the mound, but then he said he was fine. He said, "I'm fine." But he didn't pitch like he was fine after that, and that's something that when the players talking to Nick out there, Nick, our trainer, if they say they're fine, they don't feel anything. You can assume they're fine, but I think we're going to go check on him and make sure everything's all right. I hope he's all right, but he didn't throw the ball great. He wasn't commanding the ball really well at all after he got the comebacker, and that was the big inning. That was the big inning for them. It's probably one of the tales of the game is just that inning. We give up 3 runs. It's hard to get out of that spot without them scoring after we're already a little bit behind because of those base runners. And so the other guys that came in the game, they threw the ball fine, but giving up those runs, it kind of gave them a pad to little room to work with. And we were down. We got to score some runs. We got to find a way to get some base runners out there, get the guys going. The balls that we have hit good, really haven't gotten a ton out of it. Carlos hit some balls good today. Again, just got to keep having some good at-bats and find a way to get base runners.
What did Fetty do?
Fetty did what he normally does. He looked like the same guy that we've seen before. He uses that cutter a lot, and it's a good pitch to both lefties and righties. And he kind of wedges it on up there at the top of the zone. And you don't know if it's going to rise or if it's going to kind of cut across or exactly what it's going to do, but he's good with it. He commands it well. And he attacked us in the zone for the most part, and he was tough. He always mixes as well as anybody in the game, and that's what we saw again.
As you mentioned, you had a couple of bad breaks on well-hit balls both days, but putting a lot of balls in play in general, but not getting a lot to show for it. I mean, what do you kind of make of that right side, downside? I mean, what do you kind of make of a lot of balls in play, but not much to show?
We want to keep just barreling a lot of balls. That's really the name of the game. And where, you know, we'd like more than what we've had, but we've had some guys hit some balls hard. You know, Ty has had good at bats, and most of his swings have been outs, but they're all, you know, they're barrels. They've been really good swings. And there's a few other guys too. So we just need to stay, the guys that are swinging it good but not getting much out of it, they got to keep doing what they're doing and not try to do something else.
I know it's 2 games. You can't make too much in 2 games out of 162. But you guys worked to put a good start out here, be ready. How tough is it in 2 games to kind of look like this, where we're in it for a little bit, but then we kind of got non-competitive at the end again?
Yeah, obviously not what we're aiming for. It's not the objective, but it's a, you know, got a long season to go. We've played 2 games. I'm not sweating 2 ball games. I think there were a lot of positive things that we saw out there from our guys. You know, and a lot of the times the confidence comes, you start breaking an inning open and a game open, and some of those line drives, find some grass and guys are running around the bases. It's amazing what happens.
Thanks, Rock.
Thanks, guys.
Not the outcome they wanted, but Rocco Baldelli happy with Joe Ryan this afternoon. We'll hear how today's starter would sum it up after this. This afternoon for Joe Ryan, who is in the clubhouse right now speaking with the media. Let's go ahead and listen in.
I mean, I want to win. Like, that's really all I care about. Yeah, especially at this point in my career, just winning is everything. So, yeah, it feels good to go and put our team in a good spot to do that. But, yeah, I mean, ideally I can limit some other pitches there, go another inning, save the bullpen, kind of set up a different situation. Yeah, I just felt, I would say, a little bit off, pulling with my front side a little bit, spun out a little bit, saw some pitches weren't going where I wanted to, so I think if I clean that up and I noticed what I was doing, go an extra inning at least, and then put ourselves in a better spot.
It seemed like the ball Arenado hit was even well out of the zone. Was that where you wanted it?
Yeah, it was. He's a great hitter. It was someone I noticed the other day. He was taking some hacks at Pablo's sweepers that started out of the zone as well, and obviously a really good hitter. So was able to get to it. I missed my spot on the first one to Lars, so even that one's out away. I thought, hey, no chance, but obviously he's a good hitter and gamer, so yeah, just gotta execute a little bit better there, but still impressive at bats.
An 8-pitch inning is a nice way to finish it off.
Yeah, I needed that one, especially after a couple of 11 pitch at bat or something in there, and it was just weak ground balls going through the infield. It's just like it's tough, but yeah.
It's kind of what happened to Pablo too.
Similar, yeah.
The only extra base hit. You didn't give up an extra base hit, right? Yeah,
I don't know.
Last time out, was it spring training was 4 2/3, I think.
Yeah.
Where are you physically as far as building up right now?
I felt great. Like I could have seen if we had a couple quicker innings in there and maybe longer innings on offense too. Like maybe get out there and be a little bit fresher and just hold my velo a little bit better and execute a little bit better to my standard. Maybe I get an extra inning out of it. I think it's probably just pitch counts and long, I guess crowded innings is the best way to put it. That probably made Rocco take it out early, and I think it's probably the right decision there, especially with who was coming up. But yeah, again, like I said, if I hold my velo, and I guess that little counter rotation move is pretty much what I saw. So just work on that this week, get it locked in, and yeah, no, but full ready to go. The distance there. Spent some time on the treadmill after, so I was like, all right, got to keep building this up.
Another guy leaves early. It's 3 times in 2 games.
Yeah.
Had you guys been warned that they seem to be really aggressive about?
Previously, no, not really. I mean, you know who the runners are, but yeah, I mean, I was obviously aware of that from how they played the game the other day against Pablo, so just had that planned in there, and that was perfect timing. I was ready to pick off anyway, so yeah, good play catch in the infield. Get him out.
Tomorrow it is the Bearded Nightmare kicking things off for his season with the Minnesota Twins. Of course, it's Bailey Ober squaring off against Andre Palente. When it comes to Bailey Ober, he's coming off a career best, a 12-win season.